Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and I am back and I'm still alive. Barely. Honestly, it's been a rough couple of weeks, but it's all in the past and we had an amazing Grand Prix to watch. The Miami Grand Prix has just finished and we have a new race winner in Formula 1. Lando Norris. And it's about damn time. He's deserved to win for the last few years. And actually, if you think about it, in the last 2 years there's only been now 4 different winners. That being Max Verstappen, obviously, as well as Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, and now Lando Norris. The 21st British driver to win a race. It's a mixed bunch, honestly, because yes, you have the likes of Sterling Moss and Jackie Stewart, Graham Hill, Jim Clark, Lewis Hamilton, David Coulthard, Damon Hill. I'm sure if I had a couple of hours and a bit of pen and paper, I could probably work out all 21 without looking it up. But I'm not going to. Mike Hawthorne, Peter Collins, Nigel Mansell, Jenson Button. Oh, there's got to be some that aren't that hard I'm forgetting. George Russell. Yeah, I forgot one. There really haven't been that many. Like, most of them are the 60s and 70s. There has not been many British race winners lately. I think in the 90s onwards, only Mansell, Hill, Hamilton, Button, Johnny Herbert. It's a hard game to play, this one. I haven't been counting, so I don't even know how many I've got now. But still, Lando Norris is number 21. A fantastic drive from him. This was amazing. Because it wasn't just the race fell in his lap. The safety car helped. It put him in position. Everything else he did himself. To get in the position to be first when the safety car came in, that was down to his pace. On old tyres as well, he was quick. Safety car came out and then he managed to race perfectly. Verstappen couldn't get near him. He broke DRS really quickly. And from there, he was masterful. It's honestly like he's won endless races. And he had that horrible record of the most podiums without a win. It's been coming for a long time. It looked like Russia a few years ago, he could have done it. There was a few races that year he could have done it. There were races last year where it could have happened if something had gone his way. But now, it finally has, and I can't think of a driver on the grid who deserves it more than Lando Norris, who I do think is the future of Formula 1. I think over the next few years we're going to start seeing this massive battle between the next generation of drivers. That includes Max Verstappen, because he is only 26, 27 years old. But you got Lando Norris, George Russell, Sainz, Leclerc. Honestly, these are the next bunch of guys to keep an eye on. Verstappen's already there. Leclerc, Sainz, and now Norris. Russell also is a race winner. They can all do it on their day. And now it's just up to the teams to give them the cars to do it in. And I think we are, in the future at least, maybe not for the next couple of years, but I think we're in for some hell level battles of awesomeness. It's going to be an exciting future for Formula 1 as long as these young kids can stay in top drives as they mature. Most of them are mature. Most of them have done 6 or 7 seasons now. And they deserve to be in top cars in Formula 1. There is too many old guys taking up space, and I am referring to Lewis Hamilton, I am referring to Sergio Perez, I am kind of referring to Fernando Alonso, although I do think Alonso deserves to be there more than Lance Stroll does. And I think Ricciardo has been there too long, Bottas, even Hülkenberg and Magnussen, all drivers who have been there far too long. Gasly and Ocon, they're sort of in the middle, so is Albon, where they're sort of, they maybe haven't had their time. So Albon, you could argue, was given an opportunity and it didn't work out. He should have probably been given more of an opportunity. But for a lot of these young guys, Formula 1 can be fleeting. You can be moved on so quickly. Just ask people like Mick Schumacher what happens if it's not even really your fault. It's just you can get moved on so quickly and your career can pretty much pass you by. Ask Nick de Vries what happens when it doesn't go your way. And it would be a shame for any of these drivers to miss out on an opportunity to win more races, to be title contenders in the future, to be champions in the future. And hopefully Formula One and the teams that are there, we can give them that platform that we can have just the most incredible battles for the championship, which is what we've been bursting out for really the last 30 years. When was the last time there was a really good all the way through the season battle? I mean, Verstappen and Hamilton, I guess. I think you can call that one messy. So you had that one. Rosberg and Hamilton. Vettel and Alonso. Before that. Hamilton and Massa. You're starting to go back a bit now. And honestly, I think Formula One is dying to have a big, wide open championship with multiple drivers able to win. And that would help in terms of the excitement, because not every Formula One race is exciting. And this Miami Grand Prix was okay. The sprint race wasn't much to watch. I know a lot was made of it, but really it was all about Hamilton and Magnussen and what a mess that was. I mean, neither of them really deserved to score points, and they didn't. And Daniel Ricciardo did a fantastic job in the sprint race as well, has to be said. And Verstappen easily won that. It looked like Verstappen's weekend. He got pole for the sprint, won the sprint, then got pole for the main race, led the main race up until the safety car. So it's not like Verstappen did anything wrong. He still finished second. He's still in control of the championship. His teammate is being left in the dust once again. And if I was Sergio Perez, I would start looking up job listings, because I don't think you're going to have much left on your Formula One career, at least with Red Bull. I do think they'll replace him at some point. Ferrari were quick as well. I think another day the strategy would have fallen in their lap. Sainz was a bit erratic at times, but he was close to Leclerc at the end. They had similar pace throughout the race. Both drivers did a really good job, scored decent points for Ferrari. I don't know if Sainz is going to get a penalty for his move on Piastri. I think it's a racing move. It was messy, but there have been a lot of scrappy moves in this race. I think you could let it go. Maybe he'll get a 5-second penalty, but I think that only drops him behind Perez. So all in all, it was a good weekend for Ferrari. Perez, honestly, I do feel sorry for him, because it was his mistakes that led him to finishing 5th, and he just lacks pace. He just cannot keep up with the front-running cars right now. And he was in the clutches of Hamilton, who did have a good race. His best race so far this year, and only 6th place. But it's really as good as it's got for Mercedes this year so far. Russell scored points as well in 8th, but never at any point in this race did he really look like he had any kind of pace. Couldn't keep up with Yuki Tsunoda in 7th, who once again did a fantastic job. And honestly, if I'm Red Bull, I'm thinking summer break. If Sergio Perez isn't second in the championship, I'm swapping him for Tsunoda, because Tsunoda is really on it. I think Tsunoda has scored... This is the most points he's scored in the first 6 races of any championship in the last... since he's joined Formula One. So Tsunoda is the driver in form, at least in the midfield. And Daniel Ricciardo scored points in the sprint race, but he didn't score points in the main race. But he has at least got points on the board now. And Ocon scored a point as well for Alpine, which I'm sure they're thrilled about. That's like a victory for them right now. That does leave only, I think, 5 drivers without points in 2 teams. Both Stake drivers haven't got points. Both Williams drivers haven't got points. And Pierre Gasly, strangely, has not yet scored a point. So, really, other than that, Ocon and Tsunoda did a great job. Alonso did well, coming up from 15th to finish 9th. Aston Martin just did not seem to have that much pace this weekend. They are challenging Mercedes for 4th in the Constructors, and they could beat them, but they're not going to with Lance Stroll in the team. Alonso can't fight that fight on his own, and Lance Stroll just isn't good enough. And again, this weekend, he was just nowhere. I think he finished 14th in the end. He might have finished lower than that because he got a penalty as well. Again, Alonso's not going to score enough points to take on Mercedes on his own. And Mercedes aren't scoring amazing points right now. if it was someone other than Lance Stroll in that second car, whether it be Drugovich or anyone, you could put Mick Schumacher in that car. You could put... I'm struggling to think of names now. There's a lot of young drivers who are really good who are coming up. Frederic Vesti, Teo Pucher, anyone. Honestly, you could grab someone from IndyCar, Super Formula, Formula E. They would do a better job than Lance Stroll. But then again, Lance Stroll, every now and again, he'll put in a really great performance, and you think, well, maybe he has got it in him. But we've seen it time and time again that he's poor. And the only reason he's survived this long is he's racing for his daddy's team, on his daddy's money. And it's going to hurt the team in the long run. If they had another driver who's scoring points regularly, they'd be right in the battle for top 4 in the Constructors, which I'm sure is worth money. So, food for thought, I think Aston Martin should get rid of Lance Stroll, but they won't. As for everyone else, honestly, Guan Yu Zhou drove quite well, but Stake just don't seem to have any pace. So they look really slow in a straight line as well. I don't know what their straight line speed's like, but it looks really, really poor for them. But Zhou did beat Bottas, which is, I think, the first time he's done it this year. But it was not a great race for them. Gasly struggled for Alpine as usual. Williams were terrible. Albon didn't really look like getting close to the points. Sargent was unlucky to be taken out by Magnussen, but it's not like he was doing anything anyway. Haas at times looked like they had pace. Hulkenberg passed Hamilton at the start of the race in a really good move and held him off for a very long time. But it does seem to be a problem of pace throughout the race for Haas. Magnussen, I think he's just about done with Formula 1, and he's got about 20 penalties this weekend. But even Hulkenberg, by the end of the race, he wasn't anywhere brilliant. Ricciardo had a rough race, and he was pretty much nowhere. Strategy also affected these guys. A lot of these guys pitted early for mediums or hards, and I think that was a mistake. I think the best results were done by the teams and drivers who did one stop. Although the ones who held out, like Tsunoda and Norris, it worked out especially well for. Piastri was unlucky. I forgot about Piastri. Getting tangled up with Sainz a couple of times. Very, very scrappy race for the pair of them. And Piastri did deserve points, but this weekend it just did not work out. But overall, it was a pretty good Miami Grand Prix. Probably the best Miami Grand Prix there's been. New winner, Lando Norris. He has joined the list of race winners in Formula 1. That is pretty long. It has some amazing drivers on there, the likes of Schumacher, Hamilton, obviously. It also has the likes of, Heikki Kovalainen, But I do hope Lando Norris wins a few more races before he's done in Formula 1, and hopefully a few championships as well. That'd be nice. I think in the race where he's tied with Lewis Hamilton for the amount of drives with McLaren, they've both had 110 McLaren drives. I think Lando Norris's McLaren legacy is more impressive than Lewis Hamilton's, even though Lewis Hamilton won a championship and more races. The reason being, when Lewis Hamilton came to McLaren in 2007, they were a race-winning team. They hadn't won a championship for 7 years, but they had won races throughout that time. David Coulthard had finished runner-up in a championship with them. Kimi Raikkonen had done very well for them. So it wasn't like they were a bad team when Lewis Hamilton joined. When Lewis Hamilton joined, they were probably joint the best car in the field with Ferrari. And, for the next few years, Hamilton did very well out of it. He drove very well for McLaren. When Lando Norris joined, it was off the back of the Honda deal. They were just finding their feet. They were very much a backmarker team. And he's been with them as they've grown back into this front-running role, where you now see McLaren's near the front of the field at most races, bar the start of last season. And to finally take a win, his 16th podium, that's just incredible. And hopefully it means McLaren are back in that winning mentality and they can stay there. But it's been a long, long time coming for Norris. And I think he and McLaren have worked very, very hard for this. They absolutely deserve it. You think, apart from Ricciardo winning at Monza, which was a bit of a fluke, but it was a 1-2, Norris was second. They're the only 2 McLaren wins for a very, very long time. Going back to 2012, I think. So it is a rarity for them to win nowadays. And so this win where it wasn't just off luck. Yes, the safety car fell nicely for them, but it was still pace, and they still had the ability to run at the front and beat Red Bull on pace. That has to be applauded, and this was one of the drives of the century from any Formula 1 driver, including Max Verstappen. So, well done to Lando Norris. Honestly, I'd say you've taken my breath away, but there's very little of it left anyway. And with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of Lando Norris taking his first win? Where does he fit in the all-time greats list? Do you see him as a future champion? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more motorsport content. I'll try not be ill for at least a couple of weeks. And with that, have a good one.